Om Sang Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste. We have a question from Dan. Namaste, Dan. Thank you very much for sending in your question. Can you give advice on how we can truly feel and grok each padoti? I think we did that one already. Here's another one from Dan. How does the physical kavach and the mantra kavach relate? Were they performed at once together? Actually, the physical kavach is a locket we make by writing the mantra on Birjapatra. It's the bark of the birch tree, and it's a special variety of the birch tree which grows in the Himalayas, which is very, very thin, almost like a papyrus. And we write the mantra on the bark of the birch tree. We call it Birjapatra, the writing material, the patra, of the birch tree. And then we fold it up very, very small, teeny, weeny, and we place it into the locket along with a number of auspicious ingredients. In our tradition, we use the Rakta Vastra from Kamakya temple. We use the red cloth that is presented to the Divine Mother in Kamakya during the festival of Ambuachi, which is a very, very special time. The Divine Mother has her period for 3 days. The temple is closed. They place a white cloth around the stones and they lock the temple doors. When they open up the temple doors 3 days later, they pull out a red cloth. And this red cloth, actually it's like a sari. They take it to Kuch Bihar, where the king of Kuch Bihar makes a turban of it. So he says that the top of my head will be graced with the cloth from the lowest part of the mother. And then he makes a turban of the cloth, and he has a procession up and down the main streets of the town to show all the citizens that he is a humble servant of God. After which, the cloth is taken back to Kamakya temple. It's cut up into little pieces, and the priests of the temple make a presentation to notable sadhus like Shrima, and they give a piece of cloth every year, and then we are able to take that cloth and to take a small piece and put it into the kavach. And then we take some atapcha, that's whole grains of rice. We take a piece of tulsi pata, a little bit of tulsi or sweet basil. We take some chandan, shwet chandan and rakta chanda, if either as you like, either white sandal paste or red sandal paste, ganda, a perfumed, a scented flower, and we put all these ingredients real small, and we put it inside the locket. We take the locket and we put it on top of the yantra. We make pran pratishta of the yantra. We make pran pratishta to the locket, and we establish the energy of the deity to whom we are making this kavach. Now, there are other kavachas, the kavach made of mantra, which is placed all throughout the body. I can't do it in the middle. I have to start from the beginning. Anyway, you place the mantras of the kavach all through the body, and thereafter you have a kavach that you're wearing inside, a kavach that you're wearing outside, you have a kavach that's on your arm or on your throat or even at the base of your hip, and these are all protective. Now remember that the devas, all the gods and goddesses, received their siddhis, their attainments of perfection, by drinking amrit, the nectar of pure devotion. The rishis get their siddhis, their attainments of perfection, by performing tapasya. And the Asuras get their attainments of perfection by wearing stones and amulets and various other things. I believe for the people attending this class that such amulets will not be necessary. Put the mantras on outside and put them in your heart, and you put the goddess inside and you will be protected. You won't need a physical representation of that perfection or of that protection. If you do, let me know. Here's a question from Ramya. Rami Mami Namaste. Srini Baba Namaste. In India, people get mantra initiations from large ashram Swamijis and gurus to whom they do not have personal access. Is this a modern trend? Definitely. I mean, we weren't media gurus in the old days. It wasn't about being in the media. It wasn't about having large congregations. It was about having a personal relationship with God. Is this considered a valid guru-disciple relationship? Yes, it is valid, but could it be better? Yes. Just come to the Devi Mandir and sit with Sri Ma, and you'll know what that means. Instead of going to a large ashram and seeing the Guruji as a postage stamp sitting on a throne at the other end of the hall. When you sit down and have dinner and lunch with Sri Ma, you know, Rami, there's just this bhava. And there's a bhava bhakti utle aha mori mori. When that attitude of devotion rises and rises, we dissolve into the ocean of unity. We become one with the whole world. So certainly there's a difference between having a personal relationship with your guru and having a distant relationship with your guru. Even though you may say, hey, that's my guru, does that guru really represent the epitome of perfection to you? Is he the example of how you want to do whatever you do in your life? Did she give you a throne when you walked in so you could be exactly like her? Did she give you the golden ornaments and the silk saris and all the wealth and the fame? I mean, this is something different. This is a guru from afar. It's distance learning. And when you have a guru close, I don't know, Rami, I'm prejudiced myself. I always felt so uncomfortable when I went to any institution. But when I went outside of the village and I walked an extra 2 or 3 kilometers and I found one guru sitting with 1 or 2 disciples, I was so at home. They would give me a little chakai, a grass mat to throw on the floor, and I could sit down and we would all share and talk and feel and fall in love. There was a real romance. And you know, I learned it from so many examples in India. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. It's called the law of the excluded middle. And you know what? If the guru is one with his knowledge and the disciple is one with his knowledge, the guru and the disciple are one. And that was the most exciting relationships that made, you know, India wasn't about places for me. India was about relationships and about the privilege of learning in those relationships and the excitement of being inspired to do something different, new, and make changes in my life. So it is a valid guru-disciple relationship. However, it has several limitations. Everything that you want to learn from the guru is usually transmitted through another disciple. And as we progress in our relationship, we really relating to different disciples and not relating to the guru. And so the words of the guru are translated through the bhava of the disciple. So you never get to really have that one-on-one contact. It is valid, but to what objective? It's valid in the criteria of the objective that I'm a very, very busy worldly person and I don't have time to do too many practices on my own. If I just say that there's my guru and I feel myself to be making progress on the path. But really the efficacy of having an institutionalized guru-disciple relationship is that one day we will long for more. And we'll take the next step and cultivate a personal relationship. And that's what's really going to make the difference for us, Rami. When we have that personal relationship with the guru, we feel what she's saying to us. We see what she's doing. We see how she's living her life. We feel benefited. We feel empowered that we could make those changes in our own lives as well. So, yes, it's important to have that kind of a guru-disciple relationship. It may become important to have that kind of guru-disciple relationship as a prelude to give us the understanding, the discrimination, what it means to be in a one-on-one guru-disciple relationship. How can the guru guide us to the next step when frequent and personal meetings are not possible? Very difficult. Usually the guru just allows you to find your own way, and when you really have a need, then you can cultivate your relationship either with an institutional guru or with a personal guru. Will our faith in the mantra in God and Guru alone show the way? No. It will not. You need somebody to say, you sit like this, you breathe like this, this is how you chant, this is where you put the flowers. You may have lots of faith and you may believe in the guru and you may believe in God and all that stuff, but one day you're going to say, hey, I want to do sadhana. What does that mean? How does that work? What do you got to do? And at that time, you'll want the personal relationship with the guru. You know how she sings. You know how she cooks. You know how she sews. You know how she does her worship. You know how she does her jop. You know how she does her tap. You can see her activities and you can grok her being. You can understand what that means in our lives. It's about the personal relationship that gives us the inspiration that empowers us to really learn and reach out for something new and make changes in our lives. If I want to be a bhakta, I want to be a devotee, and I don't make any change in my life, and I don't want to do anything strenuous, and I don't want to give too much time, and I don't have too many resources to give, let me go to an institution where the guru is not going to call me out and say, hey, what are you doing? But if we really want to change ourselves, if we really want to subscribe to this sadhana and do this discipline and learn this spiritual way of life, then it behooves us to put ourselves into immediate proximity to someone who can show us what that means. Will our faith in mantra, in Guru, in God alone show the way? And what will determine the extent of our progress in spiritual life? When you're making progress, you know it. Spiritual life is metaphysical. It's not like you scored something on the exam. It's beyond the physical, but you can feel it. You can't see it. It's not physical, but it's metaphysical, and you can feel it. And you know when you're in love. You know when you can feel, I'm in love. I just want to dance. It feels good. And you'll know it's a priori knowledge, as Kant was to describe it. You know it intimately, inside, within. So that's how you gauge your progress in spiritual life. Usha, namaste. Here's a question from Usha. What does it mean to be initiated into Yajna, Kavach, Yantra, Tantra? Is it the teachings and practice or a specific ceremony? Both. It is. There is a ceremony which is empowering to you to do the yajna, and then you learn the specific practices of the yajna. Now remember, yantra, mantra, and tantra, all three are inseparably connected. They are all part and parcel of one another. They are not separate in any way. Within every mantra is a yantra and a tantra. Mantra, mantrayate, that which takes away your mind. It absolutely takes away all the thoughts. You have no other thought other than the intuitive cognition, the experience of losing your mind. Yantra, we always think of geometrical designs and graphical representations. Actually, it is a graphical representation of the intellectual value, the understanding of what this mantra is saying to me, the road map. How do I get to the realization of that mantra? I'm going to follow the doors. I'm going to go open the door. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. I'm going to enter the door. I find the circle of life. I find inside the life all the threes. Uma, Aim, Ram, Klaim, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Saraswati, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. I unite all the threes and I go deep into the Bindu, and there's a path geometrically designed to communicate to me the essence of the philosophy, the meaning of that mantra. And Tantra is the practical application. What do I gotta do? How do I sit? How do I breathe? How do I understand? Remember, Tantra means to weave. Tantra means to weave like the warp and the woof of the cloth. We're weaving together all the elements of our sadhana. We're weaving together all the disciplines of our study of Sanskrit. Vyakaran, grammar. Ucharan, pronunciation. Darshan Shastra, philosophy. Itihas and Sahitya, history and literature. You only know the history by reading the literature. They're not two different subjects. Jyotish, the ways of astrology. When do I do what puja when? Where? And Padhuti, which is Tantra, which is weaving it all together. How do you do? The system of worship. Now I combine that with asana, pranayama, mudras, kriyas, and all the other disciplines that I'm learning in my spiritual life. And now I've got the yantra, the mantra, and the tantra, all part and parcel of one of them. So it's the teachings, it's the practice, and there is a specific ceremony which empowers you to use the yantra. There's a specific ceremony which empowers you to practice the tantra. There is a specific ceremony which communicates diksha, it communicates the energy of the mantra, and it empowers you, and it allows us to do the yajna, to put on the kavach, to put on that suit of armor, to establish the bhava, the energy of the deity within, and then protect it outside so that no one can move us from our center. And that is, they are both teachings and ceremonies which communicate the attitude of the teachings. Does the yantra called Sri Yantra symbolize the one Shakti as all the goddesses combined? Could it be used for all if the exact one is not known? Yes, it can. In fact, my recommendation to you, to all of you, is to take one yantra and learn that yantra, learning the meaning of the yantra, the method of the yantra, the bhava of the mantra of the yantra, the mantra of the yantra. And then, with that yantra, you can establish every deity. Any deity can sit on your yantra. You don't need a special yantra for each deity. You could have one, but you don't need it. Because if you have the yantra, that's your yantra, you could use it for Mahakali, for Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, for Chandi, for Durga, for your guru. You could even establish Shiva on her yantra. Or you could establish Shiva on her yantra. So the Sri yantra actually translates as Ashtadol Shaktakon. It means there are 8 lotuses of the petals of the lotus and 6 angles. Now that is a Sri yantra. Anything with that much or more becomes a Sri yantra. And actually it means, the etymology of the word is Sri. Sha is Shanti, Ra is your mind, E is your heart. The yantra of peace in your mind and your heart is the Sri yantra. It applies to every female deity. Every goddess sits on a Sri yantra. So there's the Sri yantra Meru, which is the 36 triangles stacked up and in the 3 dimensions. There's the Sri yantra of Chandi, which is the one on the back of our book, which is the one that we use. There are many forms of Sri yantra. So the Sri yantra is the one Shakti. It is one Shakti, and there is only one goddess. So whatever you choose to call her at that time is the name of the goddess. You can establish any goddess on your yantra. Could yantras be defined as higher mathematics like the Fibonacci numbers they contain? Do you know in Plato's Academy, they used to draw yantras in the sand. And that's how they started out. I'm sorry, in Pythagoras' academy, they had yantras in the sand. And there was a big sign over the gate to the entrance of Pythagoras' academy. It said, "Let no one without geometry enter within." And he started the study of geometry and came up with Pythagorean theory by trying to analyze the yantras. So Pythagoras was an old tantric. Yes, I believe that the yantras do definitely define higher mathematics. How do you treat a yantra properly? With great respect. I painted a large Sri yantra and have heard that it should not be hung on a wall. Do you want your yantra just hanging around? Your yantra is not an art piece. It's not something that you're going to use to decorate your house. It is an object of worship. It is a very important part of your worship. You'll establish it on your body. You'll establish it on your heart. You'll establish it on your altar. And then you'll make the deity to sit on top of the yantra. You'll establish it in the Havan Kund. The fire will sit on top of the yantra. All deities will sit on top of a yantra. You're right. You probably won't want it hanging on a wall. You would want it enshrined in your heart. The yantra is an object of veneration. It is a deity. It is the form of the deity. It is the yantra of the mantra. And the mantra is the bhava of the deity. And the yantra is the explanation of that bhava. And the Tantra tells us, how do you get there? What do you do to get that bhava so you can get to that deity? Could you speak a little about the 10 tribes of sannyasis? I did. I could do it again. One would choose, or is it given by one's main guru, or tendency, or life circumstance, or teaching emphasis? Do you know what? You will naturally fall in love with the guru that represents to you your highest ideal of perfection. Just happens. Funny about that. You walk down the street, you see 1,000 sadhus, and one of them's got the bhav for you. And that's the one you follow. And you follow her teachings, you follow her attitude, you follow her bhav, you learn the way she does it, and then you say, hey, what tribe are you from? And usually that's how it is. It's not a conscious selection. As a young boy, I decided, well, I think I'll become a Saraswati. No. I fell in love with an individual that reflected to me such great ideals and such great personality and such great bhavana. And then I said, what are you doing in order to emit such vibrations? And she said to me, I'm part of the Saraswati tribe. So that would be probably the tendency that you love and respect the most is probably the reason that you fell in love with that kind of individual in the first place. Does the loin cloth symbolize continence? It symbolizes celibacy. It symbolizes purity, it symbolizes clarity, it symbolizes self-control, it symbolizes renunciation. There's the Kopin Panchakam, which is I love that very much. It's written by Shankaracharya, so it's from 700 AD era. But it says, Kopina Bantam Kalubhagya Bantam. How fortunate is he who is able to take that loincloth and gird his loins. Because it's a symbol of his renunciation, it's a symbol of his dedication, it's a symbol of acceptance and surrender. Could you tell us a little more about Tulsi Devi? I'm aware that Tulsi as a healing plant is good for just about every ailment. And Tulsi as a Devi is even better. She is in love with Vishnu. She was Vishnu's ardent admirer, and she went off to do tapasya. And Brahma came to her and said, what do you want? She said, I want to marry Vishnu. And Brahma said, you can, but I have one function you must perform on earth before you can marry Vishnu. And Tulsi said, what is that? And Brahma said, you have to become first the wife of Shankarchura. Shanka name means the conch shell. Shanka was the king of the Asuras. She went off and did her tapasya. Along came Shanka in front of a great army. He fell in love with the lady immediately. Tulsi is pure devotion. Tulsi is purity and clarity. And her purity and her clarity was healing to everyone who touched her. Shanka fell in love with Tulsi and he married her. And then began the war between the Devas and the Asuras. The gods could not defeat the Asuras because of the purity of Tulsi. Shanka's wife was so pure and she was so attentive to her husband and so surrendered and so loving and so healing that no matter what the gods tried to do, they could not defeat Shanka. So then Shiva went to battle with Shanka. And Shiva fought and fought and fought, and he couldn't defeat Shanka either. So Shiva went to Vishnu and he said, Vishnu, she really loves you. So you got to find a way to rob Tulsi of her purity so that I can defeat her husband. And Vishnu said, that's not quite on the up and up, Shiv. I don't agree to that. That's not a very good idea. That's not how gods act. And Shiva said, well, look, if we don't rob Tulsi of her purity, of her chastity, then we'll never be able to defeat this Ashura, and the Asuras will take over the entire earth. And we can't have that. So you have to make a little exception for this. Shiva went and engaged Shankha in another battle. Shiva and Shankha were fighting. Vishnu took the form of Shankha and went to Tulsi's house. Hi, honey, I'm home from the war. Quickly, let's make love because I've got only I've got a short break, and let's go. And Tulsi said, wait, that doesn't sound like my husband. My husband's not that kind of a guy. He may be the king of the Asuras, but he has a little bit of romance about him. He has a demeanor that is a little more appropriate. I have a doubt. And Vishnu, in the form of Shankha, said, honey, I only have a few moments. Please, quickly, let's quickly make love. And Tulsi said, well, wait a minute. I can't deny my husband while he's working and struggling and striving so hard to protect his army and protect his people. I better surrender. And she surrendered, and as soon as they started making love, she said, you're not my husband. Who are you? And Vishnu became his four-armed, beautiful self and said, you did tapasya to marry me, and here I am. So Tulsi got really mad. She said, I wanted to marry you, but not like this. You robbed me of my chastity, and you proclaimed the death of my husband. This is not how gods act. So Vishnu said, well, I'll tell you, I give you a boon. Your husband, because of your purity, because of your dedication, he will become a conch shell. And no one will be able to make puja to me without putting the conch shell at my feet. I won't accept any pujas that are not offered with a conch shell in my feet. Furthermore, as part of the system of worship, they must put some leaves of tulsi into the conch shell. And you'll stay in the conch shell in close embrace with your husband all during the day. And every evening after the final puja is completed, they will sprinkle the water over the heads of all the devotees, and you'll come and live with me in the night. And Tulsi was pretty satisfied with that arrangement. So she got to be in the arms of her husband Shankha during the day, and she got to be with Vishnu every night. And Shiva defeated Shankha, and that was the end of the battle. So Tulsi Devi is the goddess of purity. She's a goddess of nourishment. She's a goddess of chastity. Her purity, her chastity, her surrender to her husband was sufficient to defeat the gods. The chamtas, are the chamtas or the danda given by the guru? Usually, yes. They are. The danda is definitely given by the guru. The chamtas are often given by the disciple. It may be given by the guru if the guru has, especially in a lineage. I receive my chamtas from my guru, and I will pass those chamtas on to my disciple. So those are very old chamtas. They come from a long history. But you would receive a danda from your guru, or a chamta from your guru, or you may receive a danda from your guru and a chamta from your disciples. In Tantra, who does the weaving? The disciple or the guru? All of us. We are all weavers. You see, I've taken this asana, which is the base, and I've taken this pranayama, and I've taken the mudras and the kriyas and the mantras and the yantras and the tantras, and I've taken the vyakara and ucharan and darshan shastra and all of the elements of Sanskrit studies, and we woven them together. My guru did it, his guru did it, she does it, and we all do it together. Every one of us who learns the puja becomes a weaver. So this is how the weaving process takes place. Right now, if you read any one of my books, it's all woven together, it's all stitched together. And this book especially is a Mishra tradition. It is mixed. We have Vedic mantras, we have Tantric mantras, we have Puranic mantras, all weaving together into the one puja that all the different pujas that we're going to perform. And now we've taken the elements of philosophy, of sociology, of modern practices, and we put them all together, and this is the thesis of this writing. Here's a question from Kali Ananda from Barbados. Namaste, Kali Ma. I oftentimes observe during offering of the Mala mantras, especially during the Nibbana Vidhi, that you raise your mala and speak the mantras to it. Yes, I do. In fact, there's a mudra that goes with it. It's a Kalpatara mudra, and I keep the mala in my right hand. And I say, hey, Mangmale, hey, my mala, Chatur Barkas, give me the 4 objectives of manifested existence. Chatur Barkas, Tasmaname, Siddhi Dababa. I want you to give to me Siddhi. And you speak the mantras to it. This indicates to me a very personal and intense relationship, and you better believe it. Me and my mala have been around for a long time. Can you speak on how one should respect their mala? The same way you want to respect everything in your life that is divine. You want to take all the tools of your trade and regard them with the greatest respect. Don't put them on the floor. You may give them an asan. Don't put your book on the floor. Put it on a table. Put it on a book stand. Don't put your conch shell on the floor. Put it on an asan, on a cloth, on a table. You want to treat these objects with reverence. These are the tools of your trade. Ask any craftsman. The more he takes care of the tools, the more the tools will take care of him. Anyone you know who has tools in their trade, they respect those tools. They appreciate those tools. They spend time with those tools. They get intimate with those tools. They don't just throw them in the corner. And remember, Srima used to tell the story of her relationship with a broom. And one day when she was a young child, she was sweeping, and when she was done, she tossed the broom into the corner. And then the broom called to her and said, "Hey, go! Hey, you! I just cleaned your house. Why are you treating me with disrespect? Why are you treating me negligently with disregard?" And Ma went over and picked up the broom and brushed it off and stood it up straight and bowed down to the broom and said, "Thank you for helping to clean the house." Please treat your tools with respect, especially your holy tools that are going to take you closer to God. You always remind us that beloved Ma is always in japa. How can I remind you? You just look at what she's doing. Look at the size of her beads. When I got this mala, all of my beads were this size. And now look at them. They shrunk. Just rubbing them and rubbing them and rubbing them. I bet you find all of them are smooth. When Ma is seated awaiting your presence before class at night and even during class, there absolutely is no movement of her body. And yet she gets around. one realizes that Ma is in japa. Yet in this state, Ma responds or advises as necessary or as she sees fit. Swamiji, how can we use mantras to develop this state of stillness while being present? Follow the example. Just look at what she's doing and do it in your own way. Just find that place inside and say, hey, if Sri Ma can go to her place, then I can go to mine. And close off now and then, and whenever you get the opportunity, just go inside into that place of stillness and quiet. Here's a question from Kumari Ma from Canada. Namaste, Kumari. Is it proper for only a Swami who has been initiated to wear a mala? No! It's proper for everyone to wear a mala. What do you got a neck for? Just for necking? No, it's to wear the mala. You always got it with you. Wear the mala. Remind yourself. Just don't get into trouble. Use your discrimination as to when it's appropriate to wear the mala and when it is not. Can I wear a mala when I'm worshiping? Absolutely. Absolutely, you should wear a mala when you're worshiping. So I can easily grab it to recite mantras. That's why it's there. Perfect. You've got the perfect understanding, Kumari Ma. Can I wear it to temple or to a puja? Absolutely, it is appropriate. However, you may not want to wear it to the disco. You may not want to wear it to an inappropriate venue. You want to use your discrimination. I know when I first came to America, people would always come up and grab my mala. The first thing they wanted to do was grab my mala. What's that you're wearing? Don't touch. That's my symbol of holiness, and it's my reminder that it's Rudraksha. Shiva is watching me. Shiva's looking at me. I don't want everybody to touch my mala. No one should touch my mala except my guru. I would certainly be privileged if my guru would touch my mala. But no one else needs to touch my mala, so wear it appropriately where you won't be inviting unwanted attention. Question from Ambika. Namaste, Ambika. Namaste, Sham. I read once that after you recite a certain number of mantras on one mala, you should get a new one as if that mala is full. Is this true? No, it is not. You should rub those beads until they disappear. You don't want to get a new mala. It's your mala. Mang male, Mahamaye, Sarva Shakti Swarupini. That's just what you're saying. My mala, the great measurement of consciousness. The great measurement of all the existence. Sarva Shakti Swarupini, your intrinsic nature is all the energy that I have put into you. Please be pleased with me. Please make it easier for me. Don't get a new one. Here's another question from Ambika. What is the difference between reciting a mantra without counting the number of mantras recited and using a mala to count the number of mantras? We do japa with count until japa does us without count. So we are moving those beads and saying, I want to do 100,000 recitations, or I want to do 500,000 recitations. The standard formula for siddhi in any mantra is 1 lakh per syllable. So if you have Panchakshar a mantra, you have the 5-lettered mantra, Namah Shivaya. 5 letters, 500,000 times. You've got the 9-lettered mantra, 900,000 times. Now, that would be a standard formula. But when you get to 900,000, you don't stop the mantra. You may stop counting. Or you may not. or japa jap is when the mantra does japa of me. Jap, when I recite the mantra and count. All japa jap, when the mantra is just going and going and going. If we are learning a new puja or scripture, should we chant in English until we really feel the meaning? That's nice. Or why don't you chant one time in Sanskrit and one time in English? So then you'll have a correspondence. Every time they'll say the Sanskrit, you'll think the English. And pretty soon, I tried to the best of my ability, and sometimes it's a little cumbersome, but I tried to make so you could make a correspondence between the words, the Sanskrit and the English. So when you say you can learn the vocabulary at the same time. So try to do them both together. Do feel the meaning. It's about meaning. There's a lot of meaning to it. I mean, that's why I translated it, so you'd be inspired to learn the meaning. What are we doing here?
Intellectual.
Midas Muni is the Rishi, the Guru. In the Chandi, he is the intellect of love. And when you have that loving intellectual, that loving understanding of what it is that we're trying to do, then it means so much more when we do it. Hey, I'm doing it, I'm saying it, I'm understanding it, I'm feeling it, and it's mine. I'm doing it. That is, I am the Rishi of this ashram. And just as the Rishis of the old experienced in their sadhana, in their ashrams, just so I am experiencing today as the Rishi of our ashram. You get that bhava. Since the Sanskrit language carries a unique energy, I assume we will be losing some benefit by chanting in English. Do them both. Do it all. It's all yours. She's your goddess. She's your mother. She's your guru. Learn everything you can about her. Don't limit. Don't say, I'm only going to chant the Sanskrit and get it over as fast as I can. Don't say, I'm only going to read the English and I have an intellectual relationship with her. Do it all.
Love, love, love.
Love, love, love. What is the best balance as we are learning? Well, the best balance would be to take a section, maybe 5 mantras, and chant them in Sanskrit, and chant them in English, and go back and chant them in Sanskrit again, and go back and study them. What is the correspondence between this word and that word?
Memorize 1 mantra a day.
Memorize 1 mantra a day, Ma says. I say memorize 2 mantras a week. If you memorize 2 mantras a week at the end of the first year, you've got 100 mantras. And after you got 100 mantras, then you've got as much as any good pujari has in India. So you could memorize the mantras, you could understand the mantras, you could feel the mantras, you could breathe the mantras, you could inhale the mantras, you can chant the mantras. If we do not have enough time in a day to do japa, puja, chanting, etc., is there a priority order of what to do first? You will make that priority yourselves as you progress through your sankalpa. You will make your sankalpa and then make a priority. Every day I'm going to do this much or that much and add a little more. Or you'll have to make that priority yourself. Your center, your desire, your calling will constantly evolve. It'll constantly change. Sometimes it's more music, sometimes it's more chanting, sometimes it's more pranayama, sometimes the emphasis is on asana. It's constantly moving. Are there any specific times that we should not wear our mala? For example, sleeping, bathing, etc. You could get into trouble if you sleep in your mala. You get hung up on the pillow or something. You want to be careful, you know. Don't have a problem. Use your discrimination. When do I want to keep this mala with me? When do I? It's not appropriate. You know. Use your discrimination. After so much talk about initiation, should the attitude towards our sadhana be one of leading towards initiation, or do we just do our sadhana to the best of our ability, and if when the guru feels the time is right, initiation will be offered? Consider yourselves all authorized and empowered to do all the sadhana that you want. I'm giving you that authorization, that initiation right now. And when the time is right, do we need initiation in order to progress? You will find the initiations are deepening and becoming more real to you. And then one day, if it's appropriate and if you are desiring to take a formal initiation from us, then we will be able to provide that. We're not in the initiation business. We don't initiate many people. But when we do, we really make a commitment. Are you capable of making a similar commitment? When that's true, then we'll talk about initiation. We will see that truth in your behavior. That concludes the questions that we had about initiations. We have a couple of questions in a general category, and we have about 7 or 8 minutes left. So, Nanda, let me ask you if you have any more questions about initiations.
Yes, Swamiji, we do have a few.
Oh, thanks a lot. Please.
And Ravi is asking, does japa jap happen on its own or as a result of japa practice?
Actually, ajapa jap, Rami Mami, ajapa jap happens on its own. It's because of our practice, it becomes the natural evolution. It just doesn't come down and descend to you. Poor little old me, unworthy me. It's because that you have been doing your jap that ajapa jap comes. It descends on its own when you are ready from the process of doing practices. So you will create the circumstances which are conducive to that ajapa jap. Nanda?
The question from Vishweshwar.
Namaste, Vish. Namaste, Bharati.
Please tell us if we are enlivening the goddess within or putting goddess into us when we do the techniques of putting mantras into the chakras on every part of our body and establishing the yantra on our chest.
Vish, she's already there. Now what I'm doing is acknowledging her presence, enlivening her presence, enhancing her presence, empowering her presence, and waking up my dull mind so I can perceive it. I'm waking up myself to the reality that she is within me and that we're in love. We're having this relationship and she is there and she's welcome to be there and I want her to be there. I'm not chasing her away. There are no evictions notices are served. You please stay there in every part of my being. And let me acknowledge that, respect that, empower that, enliven it. And through these practices, we are doing all of the above. Nanda?
How many questions from Kumari from Canada?
Namaste, Kumari Ma.
It may be at some point a Shishya will disagree with the Guru. How should the Shishya behave and think at that point?
Kumari Ma, it's very, very important to have clear lines of communication. Guruji, please explain to me how this is going to be for the benefit of our congregation or our spiritual evolution. Guruji, please, I don't quite understand the substance of your teaching. Could you please make it more clear for me so that I can understand how to implement that position in my life? How do I want to use the same tools that you're using. I want to use the same bhavana that you're using. I want the same attitude that you're using. please explain it to me so I can have it for myself too. I think that would be the most appropriate attitude, but you must communicate. It is the disciples' duty to ask the questions. I am so proud of all of you for the questions that you are asking. I can understand by the quality of the questions what is the intensity of your search, the sincerity of your longing. And I respect that very greatly. Nanda?
You have talked about the need to cultivate a personal relationship with the Guru. Is it then possible to discuss everything, including topics personal to the Guru, or are there going to be topics that are always off limits? Can I be really close to you as if you were my own family member and nothing is off limits, or will there always be a subtle barrier?
There are no inappropriate questions. Only the answers are inappropriate.
Guru will know right away your answer.
But the Guru will understand your answer right away.
Yeah, when the disciple has any question, if real Guru, they will know right away the answer. What the disciple is asking question.
When the disciple has a real question, then the Guru will know that that's a real question. There are no areas that are off limits until the Guru says, I don't want to talk about that. And if that's the answer, then you've got the answer. Then the Guru is doing something that he doesn't want to share with the disciples. Is that appropriate or not? You can ask the Guru. Nanda?
We have heard the Master say, take one step towards God and He will take 100 steps towards you. Please describe how this relates to us here and now.
Oh, just by your tuning into our webcasts and asking the questions, we are coming to you with so much sincerity, with so much love, with so much energy as we can give, and we're preparing for you a manual so that you'll be able to share with your disciples what are the ideals of perfection that we could live in our lives. This is an example right now, Vish. That you took one step, you turned on the computer. We took 100 steps and we wrote a book for you. Nanda?
How should one interact on a day-to-day basis with the Guru? Does one need to put their Guru on a pedestal to get maximum benefit?
No, but the highest part of me will always be at the lowest part of you. I want to demonstrate my humility by acting with respect, by asking with respect, by not contradicting or contravening the ideals of the Guru. I want you to demonstrate to me in a respectful relationship, how can I improve myself? Nanda? The Guru's responsibility is to always tell the truth. And the Guru's responsibility is to demonstrate to the best of her capacity what is the best spiritual solution to every issue that confronts us. The Guru's responsibility is to take away all darkness. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.
Namaste everybody. Thank you. We love you all.